Hi everyone. So ticking tasks off a list versus really feeling into the experience and noticing that there is other information going on that potentially might mean that the list gets ticked off, but not exactly in the moment that you were envisaging. But the way in which it gets ticked off means that you are able to create more meaning and a more sustainable and successful outcome. So what would you choose? And I think this is a really interesting dilemma, because in many ways our corporate paradigm has a whole systemic set of expectations that are geared towards ticking off the list in the time that we had originally anticipated. And there's not as much leeway or encouragement to be open to information as it arises, particularly when it comes to our human dynamics, which is about how we engage in this experience and what else that might be telling us. So an example of this is a project that I was working on, a business improvement project, and we were almost at the end. And in this meeting, we were agreeing on the last few items, action items, and it was a meeting where everything was flowing to plan, except I did notice that the business process owner seemed more distant than usual. And at the end of the meeting, she got up out of her seat and she left very abruptly, without saying goodbye and just without acknowledging the end of the meeting experience. And this feeling that I had sat with me, and it was very strong. I just felt there was something that wasn't quite right. And so I decided to reach out to her, and I emailed her. And I emailed her from the perspective that this is what came up for me during the meeting experience, and I'm not sure whether I'm misreading the situation. I've really got no idea. I could be way off track. While I did want to reach out and just let you know that I wondered if everything was okay, and that I was inviting a further chat about it if she felt that was, if she felt drawn to. And she came back very quickly, and we found ourselves in a meeting room together. And leading into walking into that meeting room, I was very intentional about setting my own energy for that meeting. I was the project manager, so I was probably one of the people with the highest stake about, needing to continue according to the plan, on time, and with as much success as we could. While I knew that something was not quite right, I just didn't know what it was. And so before I walked into that meeting, I set an intention where I was very clear about where my own values sat. And my own values were and are about being honest and open, and to really be compassionate in what's coming up. And the other intention that I had is that together we can do more. And so really we were aiming for the same thing. We wanted this project to be successful, and it needed to be successful for her as well in her role as being the process owner. So we were in the room, we were talking about what her experience was of that meeting. And she shared with me that a couple of things that I had said she had interpreted in a certain way, and that had closed her down. And I was really very surprised, because I had not meant that, and I really had no idea that even those comments had been reacted to by her in that way. And so as we explored it, I was sitting in, holding a space for the things that were coming up in me too, because I felt, that they're not what I meant, and I didn't mean to impact her in that way. And so we had a very human experience together. We actually shared some emotion together in that space. And as we did, we got to learn more about what was going on for each other. We could state with each other, well, this was my understanding and my perception of it was this, and my assumption was this, and this is what was going on. I didn't recognize that that's what was happening for you. What do we do? What can we do with this now? And what we found was that we were able to come away with a few really important pieces of information that were critical really for the implementation going forward. And so we came back together in the full group setting, and she was able to share what it was that had come up for her in terms of information for the project, and it changed our approach in that last sort of phase. And it meant that really, like years after the implementation of the changes, that she absolutely owned the changes and owned the process. And our connection was deepened through that experience. And so while it was not easy, and it did not meet the immediate time frames as per the plan, we met our time frames and we delivered our project in a far more sustainably successful way together. So thank you very much for sharing this time with me, and may you have a magical work day every day.